Devolver Digital has quite a reputation for publishing some of the weirdest, wildest, and most wonderful indies on the scene. Bleak Sword DX is no exception to this rule. Previously released on Apple Arcade, Bleak Sword from developer More 8-Bit is an action roguelike hack-and-slash adventure with a dark and distinctive art style. Presented in an eerie set of semi-static lo-fi images, we're told a tale of the end of the Second Age, where the king and his son are betrayed by the king's younger son, who is corrupted by the Ring of Power. I'm sorry, wrong story. I mean the Sword of Bleakness. The Bleak Sword, you get it. Anyway, the new king must be stopped, and the only way to do that is to destroy the Bleak Sword. And the only way to do that is with 3 magical stones, which our nameless hero must collect. It's a pretty classic tale of heroes and corruption, but it's definitely secondary to the gameplay in this case, so let's discuss. I'd suggest trying the brief tutorial if you never played the original Bleak Sword, as it's straight to the point and gives you a good handle on the controls. Your moveset is simple yet effective. You have a regular attack and a strong attack, accomplished by holding down the same button, as well as a roll/dash and a block. Blocking with your shield with some precision can allow you to parry and knock enemies back even further. And that's all there is to it. No complex systems to learn, no special moves to memorize or master, just good old-fashioned hacking, slashing, rolling, and blocking. You'll have several difficulty options and game modes to choose from to customize your experience. You can select the original Bleak Sword or the Bleak Sword DX campaign, which includes more of everything you already know and love. More enemy variety, new level layouts, and more challenges. If that's not challenging enough, you can bump up the normal difficulty to Doom or Bleak. And now that you're all up to speed, the games can begin. Bleak Sword is divided into 12 distinct chapters, which are further broken up into easily digestible diorama levels. Each level offers what is essentially an enemy gauntlet where you'll fend off all manners of evil. To succeed, you merely need to kill them all without completely depleting your health bar. Simple enough at first, but as the game progresses, it becomes quite the daunting task. A victory rewards you with experience points and, if you're lucky, equipable or digestible items. As you gain levels, you can boost our mysterious hero with your preferred stat points, adding strength, defense, or expanding your health bar. Your inventory holds 2 items at a time and can be accessed at any point during gameplay. Unfortunately, not every fight will end in a victory, unless you're a whiz at these kind of games. And defeat can come at a cost. Your first death will strip you of your items and EXP towards your next level. But you have the chance to win back your items, your experience, and your pride by immediately playing that same level again and succeeding. Lose, and they're gone forever. Now, I want to be clear here. You are not sent back to square one with a defeat. You still keep your overall level and do not lose any progress in the game itself. At least not on the normal difficulty I was playing anyway. This made Bleak Sword a far less frustrating experience than it could have been. I've played far too many games in the last few years that have a zero tolerance policy for my BS and send me packing without a penny or a level to my name after every mistake. I'm not saying it's wrong to provide players with a challenge, but I graciously take my breaks where I can get them. I found Bleak Sword's gameplay extremely addicting. If I found myself overwhelmed by a boss encounter, I didn't feel the pressure to stubbornly face them again and again and again until victory. Instead, I tried a few times, admitted defeat, and went back to earlier levels to gain some experience and come back a stronger and more powerful player. Sometimes I would try to force my way through, but the option to do things the hard way or the easy way is definitely appreciated. The simple mechanics worked well for me, allowing me to perfect my timing on the parry, something I generally struggle with in games. Levels are small, and I don't just mean short, I mean they are physically tiny little slices of a world that seems to be absolutely teeming with darkness and ungodly beings. These microcosms of chaos may leave some missing the big picture, preferring a world to stretch and explore in, but I personally enjoyed these bite-sized vignettes for that exact reason. They are easily manageable, and much like bite-sized candies, you can have one and walk away, or you can have all of them and somehow it still doesn't feel as bad as eating a king-size candy bar. Something about the small doses made me all the more eager to press on, succeed, and see the next locale. I won't lie to you, it can get a bit cramped in some levels, especially those populated with a great deal of flora or fauna or burning buildings, but there is so much variety to the level design that any hurdles are quickly forgotten. Bleak Sword DX looks like a nightmarish pop-up book come to life in a barren digital landscape. Bleak is the perfect word to describe the settings and creatures that inhabit them. For some reason, the less details, the more disturbing these creatures were in my mind, as I filled in all the gruesome and disgusting details. The oversized pixels and limited color palette make for a truly striking style that is unlike anything I've played before. A dear friend of the channel said that Bleak Sword looks like a perfect fit for the 3DS with the three-dimensional effect, and I think that's a spot-on description of what Bleak Sword looks like. It's a real treat for the eyes if you enjoy the dark and disturbing. Perhaps my favorite part of Bleak Sword DX was the sound design, with some of the most visceral sounds and effects I've ever heard. The grunting and hacking of each enemy paired with the clashing of swords and clanking of shields was highly effective. The soundtrack itself is foreboding, warning the player of all the challenge that lies in wait for them on the next screen, with triumphant percussion signaling each victory and eerie synth heralding death with your defeat. Bleak Sword DX nails it on the execution, from visuals to sound to addiction factor. Sure, I took my share of bitter defeats, lost some pretty cool loot, and had my butt handed to me a few dozen times by a boss or two, but somehow I never got sick of the suffering. Bleak Sword DX would be a fantastic game to take on the go, and a great pickup for those who don't have a ton of time to commit to open worlds or expansive levels. It won't appeal to all, as it is combat intensive and certainly a visually unique piece of media, but it was not all bleak by any stretch of the imagination.
Thank you so much for supporting clickbait-free independent content here on YouTube. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe to help us bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming, and be sure to check out patreon.com/idreamofindiegames, where we can together defeat the gaming echo chamber.